Well, if it was a concern, it's a reality now. That's more than a tweet. That's a soundbite. The type of soundbite that, hate to say it, Jemele, but that felt like a career-ending injury to Colin Kaepernick. Not physical, obviously, but to his image. I don't think there's a place for him anymore, especially after last night, in the National Football League, when you have nationalists suggesting that he's anti-American, led by the face of America, for better or worse, the face of America. When you say something like that, I don't know how an organization would, at this point, deem Colin Kaepernick worthy of signing. They'd just as well sign the likes of Josh McCown, with all due respect, instead of dealing with that type of fallout.
I think you're right. And in a way, it's really sad because 90% of the people booing at that campaign rally have never done as much as Colin Kaepernick has done in terms of his charitable efforts. He gave $1 million to supply supplies to Somalia. Ironically enough, one of his charitable donations was to Meals on Wheels, $50,000, I believe, which might be cut if the president's budget passes, that program that's aided seniors in terms of getting them food and supplies for years. I certainly, growing up in Detroit, knew plenty of seniors who relied on Meals on Wheels. But just that we're at this point, you know, in our country where we seem to have forgotten what exactly we're supposed to stand for. And I'm not talking about the president, but we are a nation of dissidents. We always have been. And so for now, if you're the NFL and routinely you go to the podium, coaches, GM, sometimes owner, you sit there and you tell the public, you give them some song and dance about why you signed that dude that hit his wife, why you signed this dude that had a DUI, and that's okay. But this guy who has done more for people less fortunate than him and most of us, than some of them. And look,
or you're an iconic Hall of Fame player, general manager that can recommend a Supreme Court nominee on team letterhead. But I'm sleep though.
Stick
to sports.
But stick to sports. Okay, and that's his right to do that. I'm not saying that's fine, but that's not considered to be, you know, mixing two things that don't belong. That's perfectly okay. But somebody like Colin Kaepernick is not. Look, Colin Kaepernick is not owed an NFL job. This is not what this is about. And there are plenty of quarterbacks that are sitting around right now, Jay Cutler, others, who do not have a job based on
for a variety of reasons.
For a variety of reasons. But it's just a little distasteful knowing what the real reason why he remains unsigned.
I said this the other day. I said this on Friday. We can't say definitively that the sole reason that Colin Kaepernick is unsigned right now is because he kneeled. But we can say with some authority that had he not kneeled, there would be more of a market for him than there is right now. And now, given last night's situation at the rally, given the talk about it, like, nobody's going to go out on this limb for him now. Nobody's going to say, you know what, you're a couple of years removed. Jim Harbaugh gave you a glowing endorsement. You got all this talent. You're still in your late 20s. You're a couple of years removed from leading a team to a Super Bowl. You can be a reclamation project. We can fix you. Nobody's going to, he's not worth that to anybody. To your point about a lot of people on the street, they're just going to take their chance with somebody who doesn't come with what is now a distraction. See, it might not have been a distraction before. It may not have been a distraction because of the idea that the president may tweet something or people may not like it, because, again, he had already promised, I'm going to stand now. But it's definitely a distraction now, because he used it last night to rile up his base.
Yeah, and
he's seen as the picture of anti-American right now.
The other part of it, too, is that, look, in football and the NFL in particular, they're trying to sell certain images and certain values as a part of their game. It's a conservative bastion, to be honest. I mean, what do you often hear players say and coaches too? Family, faith, football. Hear that all the time. It's the reason why there's a lot of military symbolism around football games and sporting events. Is that this is considered to be the root of American culture. If you're a real American, you love football.
It's our national obsession.
It is. And so if you have now painted someone as being against those things that are values associated with football, then it makes them completely toxic. And again, looking at the larger picture, I'm not saying everybody, you don't have to support Colin Kaepernick, and you certainly don't have to, agree with him. But there's something to be said for in a country that is where people often talk about free speech, and I know free speech and consequences are different. To say, well, really, we would prefer if you just shut up.
But see, but all of this was a healthy debate, and this is what it was all about. This was all a debate and a discussion, whether it was on social media, the internet, among pundits or whatever. That was fine. But yesterday, it went to a different level.
Right.
Once the president uses you as an example of
went to a different place.
Then there's no coming back from that.
Right.
You know what I mean? The debate could have raged on. He's not the only person to have taken a knee, but now he's something altogether different than anybody else at this point.